the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast.
Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Saturday. Happy Saturday, everybody. This is March 13th, and I believe the year is 2021. Guys, there's been a lot of news on the firearms front, and I'm going to talk about it real quick and talk about the solution. I'm not going to complain about the problem, by the way, so please stay tuned. I'm not here like several other YouTubers to come here and slam my fist on the table and say, what's wrong with Washington, D.C.? Why are these monsters trying to take away my rights, and just complain about it. And then at the end of it, tell you to call up your senator and your representative in D.C. and say, please stop. Please stop infringing on my rights. That's not me. I've got a solution for you. Okay, let's talk about H.R. 8. There's another bill, too, and I failed to get that up before I did the video here. Washington. The House approves on two bills that would expand background checks on firearm sales, even though the legislation would likely stall in the Senate. Now, remember now, these are not laws. These have simply passed the House. They haven't gone through the Senate, nor have they been signed by President Biden. These are the first significant gun control measures passed by the House since President Biden took office, after he promised to enact legislation strengthening background checks during the presidential campaign. The Bipartisan Background Check Act of 2021, H.R. 8, was approved with a vote of 227 to 203, with 8 Republicans joining almost all Democrats in voting for the bill. That sounds extremely bipartisan to me. Well done. Introduced by Democratic Congressman Mike Thompson, H.R. 8 would establish background check requirements for gun sales between private parties, prohibiting transfers unless a licensed gun dealer, manufacturer, or importer first takes possession of the firearm to conduct a background check. The legislation would not apply to certain transfers, important here, such as gifts between spouses, between siblings, uncles, aunts, cousins, whatever. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy has introduced the companion bill in the Senate. The legislation was nominally bipartisan. Nominally. Now we got a little bit more truth. With 3 Republican co-sponsors. Representatives Fred Upton of Michigan, Christopher Smith of New Jersey, and Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania. All right. So now we know a little bit more about H.R. 8. It's basically to do background checks for all gun purchases. In other words, if I wanted to sell a gun to my neighbor, we would have to go down to an FFL under this law if it became law, and therefore introduce, and not to mention there's a companion bill that basically together they comprise basically a registry, a firearms registry. And we're going to talk about Hitler in a few minutes, so stay tuned, kids. So if you want to read more about H.R. 8, I will link it down below. You can find out exactly what the verbiage is of the bill. But there is a solution, and it is not to call your folks in Washington, D.C. It's to call your folks in Missouri. We have the Second Amendment Preservation Act on the books, already gone through the House. It's now referred to the General Laws Committee in the Senate, where we predict no problems getting through the committee. But we do want people to call up their senators. This is if you're in Missouri, by the way. These are your Missouri state senators. This is not federal stuff. And basically help us pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Anyone in Missouri, please, if you're hearing my voice, please do call up your senators and let them know garbage like H.R. 8 worries you. We're getting, basically infringements on our Second Amendments coming from the new administration, as he promised to do. And that's exactly what the Second Amendment Preservation Act is designed to prevent, is federal government infringements on your Second Amendment rights. By using anti-commandeering doctrine, they can't come into your state, grab your local law enforcement to go off on some weird, cavalcade of adventures, taking away people's guns, taking away their rights, infringing on their freedoms. That's what anti-commandeering doctrine is all about. This is the solution to the problem, folks. You're not going to stop them in D.C. We'll talk about that in a bit. Well, look what Feinstein's up to. We haven't heard from Dianne Feinstein in a while. Actually, Barbara Boxer. I haven't heard anything about her in a while. Okay, let's see. Feinstein promises assault weapons ban hours after the House passes background check bill. Got to go on that momentum, Dianne. I understand. A lot of people are upset with Democrats and some Republicans because they seem to, stamp on your rights. They literally tread on your freedoms. But I don't get upset by this. And there's a reason. It's because I expect, the Democrat Party, I mean, generally, almost all of them, to be satanic and to be communist. And they rarely disappoint me. So, I mean, this stuff I expect. Dianne Feinstein's been throwing this bill out for like 12 years. Every single year for 12 years. And for like the first time in 12 years, she's suddenly relevant, because they are getting certain things through the House. But I hate to, right after showing you a picture and talking about Dianne Feinstein going directly to Hitler, there is absolutely no connection here. This is just a coincidence. But I want to talk about Hitler for a minute and what he did with gun control. And as best I know how, without actually doing a lot of reading, because I did do all this reading about 30 years ago. And I don't think Hitler put in registration laws. I think that was done during the Weimar Republic, during their hyperinflationary event in the Weimar Republic. You guys remember the stories and see the pictures here of wheelbarrows of cash going into the store and them coming out with a loaf of bread. We're talking about those times. So we're talking about the 1920s in Germany, the Weimar Republic, Germany. And so they put in registration laws basically for gun registration. Well, Hitler, when he came to power, when he was elected as chancellor, basically was able to take advantage of that gun registry to enact confiscations, red flag laws. They took guns from the Jews, and we all know what happened from there. And this is something that I think we should study. And the reason being is because basically Dianne Feinstein and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, is that her name? Kamala? I can't remember. Harris anyway. Are following in Hitler's footsteps. There are steps they have to take before they can actually do red flag laws and confiscations. And that's registration. They have to actually enact some kind of registration so they know where the guns are. So we can be grateful for this, is that we don't have to work really hard to mentally figure out what the plan is for gun control laws in D.C., because they're going by Hitler's playbook. So I'd like to congratulate Harris and Biden and Feinstein and others for making it easy for us to figure out what they're doing. That just makes it easier for us to counter it and to figure it out. But I want you guys to consider calling up senators. This is for Missouri residents only. Although the Second Amendment Preservation Act was not just meant for Missouri. It's meant for all people of the United States of America. So get this legislation on your docket if you don't have it already. And if you do, support it. Fight for it. Make phone calls. Minnesota, Iowa, I know you guys have it. I haven't looked up the list of states lately, but I think Wyoming has it, Arkansas, Texas, several other states. You guys have to fight for it. It's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter, because people like Feinstein are trying to take your rights away. Remember now, as they shrink your rights and they take away your rights, and it keeps getting compressed and compressed, what they're doing at the same time, which you don't see behind the curtain, is they're expanding their power. They get more and more power as they take away more and more of your freedoms, more and more of your rights. Now, they swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. They're clearly in violation of their oath, but will the Supreme Court do anything about this? Will the American people actually go after them and go up in their faces and say, no more? No, they won't. I will do it on a local level. I won't do it on a federal level. I've done it before, and I didn't like the blowback. Unfortunately, these guys are quite powerful, and as soon as you get in their face and tell them what they're doing wrong, bad things can happen. Let's just say that. So this is quintessentially the government becoming totalitarian, moving beyond the model that I had set forth 2 years ago of fascism and socialism, which is what we have here in the United States. Forget all that stuff about democracy. It's not real. Constitutional republic, we left that behind in 1871 That's a pretty old concept. So let's just be real. Let's escape the matrix for a moment and talk about reality. As we are literally a fascist and socialist nation here in the United States, what we're doing is we're taking pieces of socialism off and we're replacing them with bits of communism or feudalism. So we're actually becoming more totalitarian in the United States of America as the economy continues to get worse. So consequently, the senators, and representatives are afraid of the American people, evidenced by large fences around, certain places of Washington, D.C., with curly Q barbed wire around the top, and lots of armed guards on the outside of the fence. So that should tell you something. We don't need to really look or think real hard to understand what's going on in Washington, D.C. This is what happens when they fear the people. So consequently, why does Dianne Feinstein go after assault weapons? Is because they're scary looking. And we all know that scary looking guns are much worse than non-scary looking guns. So that's why she's doing it. So I'd like to speak out to, some of my fellow YouTubers who have sizable channels, great followings. And like, for instance, Legally Armed America. Been subbed to him for quite some time. I don't remember how long. But his solution is to do a petition. Let's do a petition. Let's petition our representation in Washington to stop being, so communist and totalitarian. And maybe we can calm them down with a petition. Okay? And then also we can get mad and we can bang our fists on the table. We can do that too. Or... basically, we can just report on what's going on because, we know there's no real solution, right? Or we can just literally read the bill into, basically, and let people know what's in the bill. So that's what some people can do that. There are other people like Reed Hendricks that are a little more aggressive. And basically talking, he's going to be doing a live stream on Sunday. This is Valor Ridge. I'll link all these down below for you guys. And I'm not intending to pick. By the way, I'm not picking on Reed Hendricks at all. So don't get me wrong here. He has the right idea. If you guys want to follow his channel, if you don't know what Reed Hendricks' channel is, I highly recommend you take a look. But petitioning up, or banging the hand on the table there and showing how angry you are at your rights being taken away, or just reporting on all the infringements of the Second Amendment, or reading the actual bills. This seems to be, the standard solution to the problem for a lot of Second Amendment gun-loving YouTubers. I have a challenge for all of you guys. Why don't we take a look at the Second Amendment Preservation Act for your state and literally start getting your state on board with defending its residents from infractions and infringements of Second Amendment rights guaranteed in the Constitution, given to us by God, and actually have those laws enshrined in your state's, laws or even Constitution. Why not that? Why can't we do that? Why can't we talk about solutions? It seems like, solutions are, passé. We want to get mad. We want to show passion. We want clicks. We want monetization. I mean, we want money from our YouTube channel. We're investing our time and making videos. Gosh darn it, I've done it a lot. I have some 300 videos in my channel. But I've never asked for money. Yeah, we take donations. But I've never, I think I've said in 2 or 3 videos that we take donations. Most people don't even know we do. And by the way, you can even, if you have the Brave browser, you can actually contribute to Truth, Money, and Freedom on YouTube. I don't know if you guys knew that. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. So if you have Brave, the browser, and you're accumulating all these BAT tokens and you want to contribute to Truth, Money, and Freedom to help us in the fight, feel free. We'd love to have it. You don't pay for those. Those are given to you for free by corporations. So you can spend them wherever you like. And if you want to spend them with truth, money, and freedom, we'd be honored. But once again, we're not asking you to give up your hard-earned money. We're not putting ads up on our channel. And we're certainly not offering you bunk solutions. The Second Amendment Preservation Act is quite powerful, my friends. We're trying to get it done here in Missouri. Everyone in Missouri, please call up your senator. Please call up and say, we are aware of H.R. 8. They are in violation of their oaths in Washington, D.C. Therefore, we're going to hold you to the fire. We're going to hold your feet to the fire, Senator. You know, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. We have some foreign enemies. We have a lot of domestic. Actually, the domestic enemies are actually the worst ones. We talked about Hitler and gun control. We talked about Feinstein. Let's lay it out on the line here, gang. Let's do some truth. We're truth, money, and freedom, so we should do some truth. Do you guys remember the story about the scorpion and the fox? Okay, all right, so I heard a couple of yeses, but guys, please just bear with me. I want to tell the story because I love telling the story. So there's a scorpion on the bank of a river, and he's going back and forth. He's looking for a way to get across the river. He wants to get to the other side. And then he sees a fox come up. So he says to the fox, hey, listen, would you mind taking me across the river so I can get to the other side? And the fox said, I don't know that that's a very good idea. You could sting me, and then, you know, I'd die. And the scorpion says to the fox, why would I do that? If I sting you, then we'll both drown. The fox goes, that sounds reasonable. So he says to the scorpion, climb aboard. I'm taking you across. So the scorpion climbs up the fox. Fox wades into the water and starts swimming. And when he's about halfway across the river, the scorpion suddenly stings him in his back. And the fox, writhing in agony and pain, looks back and looks at the scorpion and says, why did you do that? Now we're both going to drown. We're both going to die, as he's gasping for air. And the scorpion just simply looked at the fox and said, I couldn't help it. It's my nature. This is the nature of DC politicians, is to take your rights. They can't help it. It's in their nature. Because when they shrink your rights, they expand their control. It's the nature of government to grow. But the problem with it is, the more it grows, the more it must feed. And ultimately, you're the one who pays for it, both financially and with your freedoms. It's worth the fight, gang. You don't fight Washington, D.C. You starve Washington, D.C. You don't let them feed anymore. One of the ways to do that is the Anti-Commandeering Act, which is incorporated into the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It's worth the fight, gang. But I'm not going to be telling you to call up people in D.C. I'm sorry, I won't. I know my fellow YouTubers will have you call them. I have been down that road for 30 years, and I know better. I mean, I have more experience with this maybe than some of these guys do. It just doesn't make a difference. So I'm not going to have you waste your time. I've never, ever done anything to waste your time. Everything I've asked for on the Second Amendment Preservation Act has been well worth it. Guys, this thing is in general laws in the Senate now. It's moving along. I'm asking you to help support it continuously by calling your senators and let them know you want the Second Amendment Preservation Act because the federal government is passing garbage like H.R. 8. This is the reason for it. This is the purpose of the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Not only to protect your rights, you know, your God-given Second Amendment rights, but also to preserve freedom for your progeny. You know, it's easy to sit here and say, gosh darn it, guys, we need to fight. It's harder to pick up the phone and make a phone call. I get it. But it's not asking much. It's not asking much. 5 minutes out of your day to call up your senator. 5 minutes out of your day to call your specific senator. And every state should be doing this. Guys, if you want help with your states, I will do what I can. Put something in my comment section. I'll do what I can if you're in Minnesota, Iowa, Wyoming, Arkansas, Texas, what have you, to help preserve your rights. And I realize that I have a lot of anarchist friends that say this whole thing's a waste of time. I don't think so. I really don't think so, and there's reasons why. Next time I get Ron Calzone on, we'll talk about that. But this is important, and Washington, D.C. is not going to be stopped with a letter writing campaign, phone call campaign, or with a petition. I am sorry. I am sorry, Legally Armed America. You're not going anywhere with your petition. I think he means well, but maybe he doesn't have enough experience dealing with politicians yet. So, okay, I should wrap it up here. I do want to tell you a funny story real quick. You guys know me as Timmy Chonga, right? That's actually my name in Discord. That's my screen name. It's actually my dog. Most of you know that. I want you guys to know that my Timmy Chonga YouTube account was recently unsubscribed from Truth, Money, and Freedom, the YouTube account. And some of you have been telling me, well, this has been going on for over a year and a half, that you've been deliberately unsubscribed by YouTube from my channel. I just want you to know that it finally happened to me. My number finally came up. And I'm not trying to make light of it. I know it's frustrating when it happens, but I just thought it was kind of ironic that they had done that to me, and my number had finally come up after so long, because I think Timmy Chonga was the very first subscriber to the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast. So, yeah, YouTube doesn't play fair. They don't play by the rules, and that's okay. It's their platform. They're letting us use it. I do know not to do any more videos on the beer flu. And that's the final thing I want to talk about today before I end this video. Beer flu videos from now on will be relegated to BitChute and possibly to Odyssey. We'll take a look at that. There's a technical difficulty for me on that, but I want you guys to know that I can't do those on YouTube anymore because people are getting strikes for even mentioning it. And I talk very fast sometimes, and I forget about the code words, and then boom, on a live stream, I mean, it's there. I can't take it back. And so a lot of people have been getting strikes. A lot of people I personally know. 9 YouTube channels in all, with mine 10. Now, I got a warning because I'd never gotten a strike before. But at the same time, I don't want to strike. I want to, and by the way, I play by the rules. I've always played by the rules, but they said it was medical misinformation, and that's why they had given me the warning. So it's, I'm going to stop talking about it now. I just want to let you know that all of those type videos will not be on YouTube anymore. I will post them on different platforms, but I will make a small video on YouTube to let you know they're there. There you go. Got you guys covered. Please call your senator if you're in the state of Missouri. Let them know H.R. 8 was a shot across the bow, and we need the Second Amendment Preservation Act quickly. Let's get it done. And for those of you in other states that are working on similar legislation, you need help, you need guidance, send something to me in the comments section. I'll do what I can for you. I'm trying to get it done in my state first, but once it's done in my state, maybe we should concentrate on some other states real hard. Most states have longer legislative years than the state of Missouri does. We have a half-time or a part-time legislative body. They only work half a year, and they get paid peanuts. So don't think that they're, like teachers, getting paid for a year when they work 9 months. It doesn't work that way. But please call. Let's get this done. Thank you very much for watching Truth, Money, and Freedom. This is the first recorded video I've done in a while, and we're doing a lot of live stuff lately, and I'm really liking it. You guys, if you have any questions or comments, please throw them down in the comment section down below. Please look in the description box for any tabs or basically links to what I have shown you today. You guys all have a wonderful weekend. May God bless each and every one of you. Take care, gang.